Hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com. I'm playing Cities in Motion 2. The first thing that I'm going to do right now, obviously, is save the game. This is Game 2, and I have two game saves. One is Game 2A and the other one is Game 2. And they are sorted by time. You'll notice that this one is the most recent one, and I'm going to save over the one before it. And the reason why is because this game does not have automatic game saves. And there's a chance that the game will crash while it's saving. So what I do is I have two game saves. If the game crashes while it's saving, I will have the previous game save still there. I'm going to accelerate my city so that it starts to grow, because I have a lot of space that I've built here that hasn't been populated yet. And I know it looks really ugly, but what's important is that people start building and moving in. And I have a landmark, which is right here, and I just placed another new landmark, which I think is right here. I'm going to finish my road. Not sure where it should go to. Perhaps I'll just have it go here. One of the things that I need to start doing is coming up with a way to get people to go horizontally across the map. And I don't want to do it until all of the space is used. So I'm going to start using up this space, building into all these roads over here. Don't want all this empty space. So basically, I'm going to build to fill in all this space so that when I build my train system, I can extend it all the way in to a space that's already been developed, as opposed to extending it later. And it's going to be a little weird because I don't like this type of development style with all these curved residential type roads. You'll see that we've got some unused space over here, and I'm going to fix that by putting a road through, which hopefully will bring some growth into that area. And hopefully the houses that are added will exceed the ones that I had to destroy. You'll also note that we've got some industrial buildings showing up in a residential area. And I don't know if there's any way to control that. All I know is that it happens. So I'm not going to build the big loopy thing that the game designers have created. I'm going to build, I guess, what looks like a triangle. And I'm going to put in some higher capacity roads as the outer framework. Because of all the weird slopes, it's not going to connect. You can see that it's unlikely to connect those two roads together, so I will figure out a different way to do it. Something more like that. All forest. This new area is not going to be similar to the area that's adjoining it. I'm going to make it my way. Which is going to be more grid-like. Because I want to attract the bigger buildings and I want everything to fit in more uniform. I don't want to have empty space. We got some customers moving in already. Yeah, I'm not trying to make a pretty city. I'm trying to make a city for the transportation system, not for the places where people ultimately live. Which means I need as many people as possible and as many workplaces as possible. And it's too bad. Oh, maybe if I connect it like that. The bridge over here causes a problem because buildings can't build along the bridge. So I'm actually going to go under the bridge. Actually, there was a building that built next to that bridge. I'm going to keep on building. And remember, if you don't like something, you can always destroy it and rebuild it later. The great thing about highways is they don't have a maintenance cost. So once you pay to build it, you don't have to pay any sort of monthly fee or anything like that. Okay, so I've extended it through here, which will allow me to build at least one monorail system onto the east side, even though it's not 100% complete, but obviously I will complete it. And then I have to build some housing on the west side. Once I have both of them finished, then I will be able to build something such as a monorail that connects them. And I haven't decided yet what it might be, because I might end up using the train system instead. Oh, it's nice. It also goes under. Look at that bridge. And I'm probably going to make one last connection over here. Fill in this road. And another thing you have to remember, the techniques that you use to build work in every city building game. Laying things out and setting up your transportation systems is pretty much universal. There might be exceptions for different games. However, for the most part, it's the same general idea. So that is the east side. We'll have a transportation system coming into the west side, so I'm going to have to fill in this west side over here. And I do have the game on fast forward because I want to have faster growth for the streets that I already placed down. I've got too many plots of land right now waiting for people to move in. And when I'm placing these pieces, I'm looking to see if there's a white railing. Like right here there's a white railing, and right here there's half a white railing, and it looks like there's going to be that white railing for a portion, and that means it's going to be a bridge. You can see that there's going to be a short bridge piece, which is right over here where the little railing is, and you want to avoid those. So when you place, you have to place carefully, and you don't want to have long tunnels either. I mean, obviously if you want a tunnel, you place a tunnel, but if you want people to build along it, you know, nobody's going to build along that tunnel. You'll see a lot of videos on YouTube where people show off how much traffic they have. And having a lot of traffic means that the city, if having traffic jams means that there's a design problem somewhere. If you look at the videos for my first city, which is the large city, I used to have traffic jams until I solved all the traffic problems. And once I solved all the traffic problems, I didn't have traffic jams anymore. One of the other things that you'll notice is that even though I'm using the 2-lane roads, which are lower capacity, I'm getting the larger buildings over here. One of the issues here is that the highway system has off-ramps and on-ramps that connect to a 2-lane road. And they should not have done that because obviously it's lower capacity. They should have connected to 4-lane roads. And that might be something that I'll have to fix in the future. It's probably not going to be that big of a deal because what will happen is I will extend the highway system into this area that I'm building. And once I've done that, the cars won't rely on that particular intersection so heavily. This is an example where it's a 2-lane road. It has a much lower capacity. Got a lot of houses showing up over here, mixed in with these office buildings. Right now there's a few city building games that are current, and one of them is obviously the current SimCities, which is a cool game, but the problem is that once I mastered the game, I figured out how to make lots of money. It became quite boring. And what I usually do with the current version of SimCities is I make one city that's mostly residential, another one that's all industrial, this way that the people that live in the residential city don't have to have any pollution or anything like that. And there's another game called Banished, which I think is really cool. And Banished is mostly about production, which means that you have to collect natural resources and things like that. And you have a population, and instead of having cars driving around, you have people walking around. And there's no mass transit system because it's based in the past, before modern technology. And that's another game that I really enjoy playing. I've gotten to have quite large populations. I haven't filled the large map yet. What happens with Banished is that once your community becomes very large, it starts to take a long time to build things, because you have your resources on one side of the map, but they're needed on the other side of the map, and nobody brings them there. They tend to use local resources. But Banished is another one of the games that I will be playing and demonstrating. I also like to play Elite. Elite was a great game that I played in the 1980s, and they released it, I suppose, a couple of months ago. I really don't remember when. But I really enjoy playing Elite. Elite I'm about halfway through in terms of the ship. I have one of the large cargo ships. Whatever comes after the Cobra. I used to have a ship called the Cobra and sold it for one of the larger transporters. I think it's called like a Type 9 transporter or something like that. So starting to see some traffic on the highway over here. And traffic can be alleviated by building a better transportation system. And obviously I will build that transportation system, but as you've heard me say in my other videos, my other city became so big that it won't let me save the city anymore. And it's always running out of memory. Even though I have like 16 gigabytes on the computer, it only uses 4 gigabytes and it runs out of memory. So I decided, I know that the reason why it has a lot to do with all the bus routes and the trams and things like that. So I decided to build a city that's a little bit more efficient. This city is going to have less public transportation lines. It's going to have fewer lines, but those lines will be longer, and they'll have more stops. But I'm not going to build them until I have places for them to go. One thing I used to do, there was another game called Railroad Tycoon 2. And it was a great game. I had so much fun with it. And you had different cities, and I would try to run as many trains into the cities as possible. So what was happening was every second of the game, a new train was arriving at a city. And I was building the biggest capacity train depots possible. And I had a lot of fun playing it. But the game had a defect, which of course was supposed to be a feature of the game, where trains would break down randomly. And when you have 1,000 trains, every 60 seconds you would have to deal with massive amounts of trains that have broken down. You'd have hundreds of trains breaking down. So one of the tricks I would do is every certain amount of time, every 5 or 10 minutes, there was an option to repurchase all the trains on your fleet, and that's what I had to do so that they were always new. But the reason why I enjoyed the game was because I was able to play it with a high capacity. You know, I had 1,000 trains running. And the Railroad Tycoon 3, at most you could have like 30 trains running. So it was a lot of fun to have them carrying all sorts of goods to a wide variety of cities. I'm going to delete this street. Build something a little bit higher capacity. And it's like I said before, if you don't like these roads, you can destroy them and build an avenue. Obviously over here, you can go and destroy this road and replace it with a bigger road, and your buildings are going to get destroyed and they'll have to be rebuilt, and it might not be the same use of space. You can do it if you want to. One of the other tricks I can show you is how to make an underpass, and the way people show on the internet is, I don't think, the right way to do it. I have a better design that I use. Let's see if I can show you how to do an underpass right here. And I'm not going to worry about the buildings being knocked down. But the way I build an underpass is you're going to use a one-way street, such as this. You have to have sidewalks. If you don't have sidewalks, then the buildings won't spawn. So I'm going to build perhaps from here to here. And this is only a rough template. You know, if I have to change it later, I'll change it later. So you build like this, and you've got to reconnect it on the other side. And when you build the underpass, you use a road such as this, which has no sidewalks. Or it could be an overpass. It could just as well go over. Okay, I'm going to do it differently. Unfortunately, there are no roads that have a sidewalk on only one side of the street. One of the requirements of the game, for a building to exist, it has to have sidewalks. So what will happen is, if you build a road with no sidewalks, people might not go to those buildings even if the building is there. So you don't want to have dead buildings, and that's the mistake that some people make when they build underpasses. They build it without sidewalks, for example, and then maybe people don't show up at those buildings anymore, and then those buildings become completely useless. For the bus system, it doesn't matter. All these buildings over here are now going to be useless, so it doesn't matter if you destroy them or not. Okay, so you see that I did mine a little bit differently than the way other people do it. The way I did mine is that I don't use one lane going one direction and then another lane going in the other direction next to it. I just build one road connecting from one spot to another so the traffic can get through. These buildings here don't have a sidewalk, so they're useless. They're going to do nothing. And the only way to get people going here is going to be to put a sidewalk in somehow. And it can be done. You can do it with a bus route here that has a sidewalk. The regular cars won't drive on it, but the people will walk on it. I wonder what the problem is here. Okay, we'll do it again. Don't worry about knocking buildings down unless you really can't afford it, because it's like I said, they will grow back, and you need them to grow such that the game recognizes it. Oh, come on. Okay, so I've got sidewalks here for the building access, and I don't need to have sidewalks for the remaining segment because this building next to it is connected to the other road. So he has a sidewalk anyway. These buildings that were knocked down, they'll grow back. Not worried about them. Don't need a sidewalk from here to here. Too bad it won't connect. But that's basically how you do it. You get the little underpass. Oops, that's wrong. I'm going to start with no sidewalk, which means I'm going to lose one building. And then I will connect it with a sidewalk from here to here. I'm going to have to rebuild that. Obviously it was done wrong. I don't build underpasses in my cities like this. And the reason why is because I don't think they're that useful. I used to build them just to play around, see what it was like. But the fact is that I don't have sufficient traffic jams in the city to warrant all sorts of these crazy underpasses. Okay, so I didn't build that road long enough, so it's got to go. Oh, you know what? I'm going to build it the way I think it should be built. Just so you can see. The easy way. Because I'm not worried about the buildings, as I've said before. The buildings will be fine. Let's say you build this 2-lane road. I'm going to remove this. This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lanes. And I think it's a one-way. Yeah. Okay, to build an underpass, the easy way is to take your little 1-lane thing and start right here and go down and build it as short as it will allow, which is right here. And then you build underneath. For example, I could build out to here. And then build from here to the surface. I don't know what this bus thing is doing here. This is not supposed to be there. So I have an underpass now. And it looks kind of stupid. But it's there. You can see it's clearly there, and it's for buses only. Pedestrians will use it. You will see pedestrians walking under it. And you get these little short roads, and these short roads are a problem if cars are using it. Because they'll stop over here at the intersection before it, and then it will only give you room for one more. The best thing to do is wait until you get a lot of traffic over here and watch what happens, and you'll see that these little short roads create problems. But you lose a little bit of space over here, and you lose a little bit of space over here. As you can see, it is starting to fill it in. But that's how you do the underpass. I don't have any plans to run any vehicles through there. You build the underpass going through the entire city, put a tram line on it, and your trams will just bypass all of these buildings. I have a city that I made an underpass going all the way through the city, and it worked out great. I loved it. And I had my trams going through, the trolleys, the buses, and even pedestrians would walk through it, and it works out great. So what I will do is I'm going to continue building that line for your amusement. And I think building like this is a lot better than building complicated changes into your existing system by removing roads and replacing them. This way is a lot easier. All you gotta do is go like this, figure out where you want it to end up, such as here. And there you have it. Very easy to do. And if you don't want these little stub roads, you can build your underpass in the middle of the intersection. Now I'm going to have an issue here because I have a subway line, and there's also an underground expressway. Let's see if it'll work through. No, it doesn't. So I had to build it deeper. It's going to be at 20 meters. So one of the stupid things about these tunnels is that one of these tunnels is around 8 meters deep and the other one's around 16 meters deep. They're not at the same level. Oh, I got a traffic jam forming over here. I'm going to then connect this to one of these intersections. I'm going to connect it to the further intersection probably. Simply doing it like that. Okay, so we've got traffic over here near the Sydney Opera House. Oh, look at that. Okay, this highway system looks like the one that was included in the game. I didn't build this little highway thing going across. The way I'm going to fix it is I'm going to remove this piece, which is only 4 lanes, and I'm going to replace it with a piece that has a higher capacity. Such as this. So what this means is that the people that are getting off on the off-ramp over here are going to have a little right lane, because they're going to take the rightmost lane when they line up for this off-ramp. And the people that are here that are getting on have an extra lane to get onto. And the people that are here that are driving through, they have no reason to get into that right lane. So we've got an extra lane for people that are getting off and for people that are getting on. And the other thing that I can do is I could take this and reduce it down to 3 lanes, which will make this merge easier. The only thing I can do right now is wait and see if it made a difference. Normally I want this to be a 2-lane off-ramp. It should be more than 2 lanes. Because the cars can go in many directions, you want to have as many lanes as possible. But I'm pretty sure that it probably would not accept a 2-lane. unless I build it like that. But then you have the problem with the little short intersection that will create problems. Ah! Please build it back. If it won't build it back, I have a backup plan. The backup plan is to split the highway. You take this road right here and split it. Perhaps it'll be 3 lanes on the top and maybe 2 lanes on the bottom. And then they'll have to get, one side will be for through traffic and the other side will be for people who want to get on and off. And that will solve a lot of problems. In fact, I will do it right now. I'll show you how it's done. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this. I'm going to go back to the highway pieces. This is going to go back to being a 3-lane road. But it's going to be 3 lanes all the way. And then next to it, I'm going to build a 2-lane road. Like so. And then I will have an exit. Let's see if we can do a 2-lane exit. From here to here. No big deal. We're going to take this out. I'm going to build a little stub, perhaps. This is going to have to reconnect with the upper level. Perhaps like that. We build the on-ramp like so. This piece can be removed. In fact, this whole entire piece can be removed and replaced with a straighter piece. This piece gets removed. Gets replaced with a 3-lane road. This piece gets removed. And then we build from here to here. Remove the little stub. Build a stub over here. Like that. Remove this piece. Reconnect. Perhaps like that. Remove this stub, remove this stub. Then we will have this stub will be removed right here. And then I will take 1 lane, perhaps from here. That connects like that. And then remove this piece In fact, I can remove this entire piece right here and replace it with a 3-lane. That connects all the way through perfectly straight. And then wait for all the buildings to come back. Now this is going to remove that traffic jam. The traffic that's merging is now, instead of merging onto here, they're going to merge at this point over here where they've got an extra lane to merge with. And all those cars that are taking this exit, they're going to back up over here. You know, there'll be a traffic jam over here, but it won't back up the main road. And in the event that something happens, I could easily take this road and widen it into 3 lanes. I could take this and widen it into 4 lanes. You have all those possibilities. So this is just a placeholder. We'll see how it works out. This is called a service road. You'll note that it is lower than the main road. I don't know if that's an 8-meter height. It looks really low. But it worked out well. And it's like I've said before, one car can cause a citywide traffic jam. I've definitely seen it happen. Now here's obviously some sort of a bug in the game where this car is immobile for some reason. This type of a segment should really be thinner. Instead of 4 lanes, it should be only 3 lanes. No traffic here. So this part has become populated, the new part that I built over here. This is beginning to be populated also, as is up here in the north. So I'm going to start offering them some transportation service. He's going to need a bus line over here. This bus depot doesn't have any buses lined up, so I'm going to use the same bus depot to run my new bus line. And it's going to have to take people from the underground subway, and it's going to bring them out into this area over here. And obviously it has to be based on where people already exist. We don't want to do future areas. If nobody lives there, then if there's no buildings there, I'm not going to put service there. So I'm going to make a route that fills in the gaps over here. It's not going to be perfect. They will have to come from one of these stops. I'm not picky as to which one. I guess that one will be fine. I will place a stop here. Put one here. Just before the intersection. And there will be exceptions. You don't always do it that way. For example, I've got a little gap in the coverage over here, so I should put a stop right there. And always remember, you can build it any way you want to. You don't have to do it the way someone tells you to do it. One of the things that I did do before is I used to make hubs where a lot of buses would stop in the same area and connect with different transit systems. I used to do it that way. And a lot of people do it on the internet, and it's really fun, but it's not efficient at all. The efficiency is horrible. You get tons of traffic jams, so I stopped doing it. And people are fairly close enough. They're going to be able to switch between different lines if they want to, with the way I set it up. So I'm not worried about them connecting to other stops. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to connect here to this stop so that he can connect with people from the subway. And then he's going to deliver to the new construction area. And again, for those of you who haven't watched all of my videos, these bus stops are temporary. I'm going to use them at the beginning of the game. However, once I get my metro system running up into this area, I'm going to get rid of all the bus stops. And the reason why is because I'm having problems where the maps are becoming too big and it's running out of memory. So I want to have fewer bus lines just to keep the city more efficient. Everyone's going to run on the subway system except for the remote areas or areas that have new construction. One thing that I don't do is I usually don't run the trolley system. The trolley system can be good because it uses electricity instead of gas, and when the price of gas goes up, it's cheaper to run a trolley. But the problem is the game doesn't take that into account. The game charges you more for gas or electricity, but it doesn't switch. What it should do is switch. It should switch, meaning if gas prices are high, it should switch to the trolley system, but it doesn't do that. And I almost never run the trolleys because I just don't find a need for them. It's just more convenient to run buses. So we've already got service running. That's cool. I'm going to look at my coverage map, which is right here. You can see there's a lot of the city that still doesn't have coverage. It's very important for me to fill in the gaps, particularly this area, so that when I run my new metro area that's going to do a loop, I want them to have connections. I don't want it to have forgotten areas. And it looks like over here there's a little room where I can build some more buildings, so I'm going to do that. I want to make the best use of the space. I don't want to have unbuilt property. Everything needs to be built. That's part of being a real estate developer. Already got people moving in. That's how popular we are. And I'm going to put a little one-lane road going through here to fill in any gaps. And we have another space over here. And this is one that once I fill in the space, I'm going to have to add a new subway station. I'm going to use the boulevard, which is right here. Use regular roads. Wow, there's a lot of traffic over there. Okay, so maybe I don't need that road. It's a lot of cars. This type of an intersection was not made by me. This looks like what came with the game, the map designers. So there was a new intersection that I made, which I believe is right here. And before we had traffic jams, the game's been running for a while. You'll see that there's no more traffic jams over here. It also does depend on the time of day. It is 4 a.m. We need to really look at it when over here in the lower left corner it says Wednesday 4:30. We need to look at it at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. to see if traffic gets backed up over here. You'll note that we can actually build a road like so. I'm going to show you. You can build a road that goes from here to here. And then under this road, because you need sidewalks in order for buildings to be built. So it'll allow buildings to be built behind these other buildings where nothing is being built. And this is something we can also check later to see if any buildings show up over here. Now obviously I didn't build it very well. You could do a better job fitting it underneath. But it'll be a little experiment, something that we'll check later. I think that these people need highway access over here. So I'm going to build another highway that kind of goes through the city. It looks like there's one that's here. Yeah, there's one that goes to here. And people are using it. We have to build another one. And it's probably going to have to be built over this road. Otherwise I'll have to split it into two highways. Okay, so over here I'm going to build another highway. And you're more than welcome to build yours below ground. I like to build mine above ground. I'm going to start right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 5 lanes plus 2 sidewalks, which means that I'm going to build it centered on the right lane. And that's how I'm going to guarantee that I have space for both of my highway lanes. Build one going this way and another going this way, like that. Since it's a very straight road, I'm going to build a long segment that will go all the way to the other side. You can build up to 4,000 meters long. It's a long way. But I'm going to end it at this block right here. And again, I'm lining it up with that right lane. And I'm going to start here. You see there's a turn arrow, which is in the left lane, and that's going to be the center of my next lane going back. And he's going to connect to here. And now I have to make the connections for the highway to connect to the rest of the system. The best way to do it, in my opinion, is to first build the further connection. So he's going to go over like this. And then he's going to go under like so. And the reason why is because it's very easy now to build a connection from here to here. You just have to figure out the right spot to do it, and there it is. That connection's piece of cake. And then this connection is going to go from here to here. Perhaps like this. And now we do the same thing on the way back. We can build a left exit. I almost never do it, but I'd like to see what it looks like. Oh, did it wrong. That's why. I'm going to build it up to here. It might not be possible. It is possible to build this one here. I'm going to build the two-lane connection starting from around here. And then I'm going to connect the remaining segments. That looks like that one is too close. And then I'll try and make a connection. And if it doesn't connect, that's fine. They don't always have to connect. I know I won't be able to do it from here. It's going to have to look like that. I have little choice. I'm going to remove this little tiny stub, and I'm going to replace it with that. Remove that stub, remove that stub, remove that stub, remove that stub. There's one there. There's one there. Okay, so that's how you do it. This highway, though, needs on-ramps and off-ramps, plus it needs to be connected on the other side. So I'm going to first connect it onto the other side. And as you can see, there's no second highway over here. There's only the one, because it goes underground. So it's either that I make an underground connection or I only connect to here. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make a connection to here. And I'm not going to worry about the other connections right now. This is probably a very high road, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging to make the connections. We're going from an 8-meter high road to something that's a lot higher. Okay, so I'm going to do it like that. See how it looks. Now we have an inner city connection. And now I'm going to measure to see how many off-ramps and on-ramps and off-ramps. I could either build 2 or 1. I think I'm going to go with... I don't have any on the northern part there. So I'm going to build something over here. Build an off-ramp, perhaps right here. Okay, so there's one. And I will make another one. I'm guessing right over here. Seems like a logical place to do it. You'll note that over here we have this little road. We don't have roads extending from all of these intersections, so that's why I chose to do it here. Oops. Now there is some empty space here. You'll note that there's no buildings that are there right now. It is possible to reclaim a little bit of that space, but it's also very difficult to do it. For now, I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'll leave that as a future project. See what happens if the buildings somehow do get filled in. Looks like over here there's a lot of traffic. This is a crazy intersection. I could imagine that it could get to be very busy over here. So that new highway I built is being used already. And there's the proof right there, that little on-ramp. We do have a lot of empty space right here. And I can easily put in a one-way road with sidewalks. I'm thinking it should be from this intersection here. I would build to here, and then connect it to one of these other roads, such as this one, and it should make better use of that space. And it looks like we got an issue over here where we have another space that's not being filled, so I'm going to use another one-way road with sidewalks. Maybe like that. That will allow some buildings to grow over there. I know it's not the best placement, but again, if we don't like it, we can change it later. And I think over here I'm going to do another one. I'm going to build a one-way road that connects through here and then through here. Got another gap. I'm going to put a one-way road probably like this. Wow, look at those buildings and how tall they are. I wish I had more buildings like that. I'm going to try and make sure I got a subway stop right next to that building. It's got 20 workplaces. And 20 workplaces actually isn't a lot. Looks like traffic is moving along fine. Now with this long road, I should take advantage of it and put an on-ramp or an off-ramp somewhere. Here's a good spot. Just like this. Or like this. Or alternatively like this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build up into this area. I'm going to build an off-ramp like this. And I'm going to turn it into a one-way road that has sidewalks so buildings can grow alongside of it. And I want to build something behind these buildings because it's obviously also underused. I realize it's going to knock that building down, but that's okay. Something else will take its place. And then maybe connect like this. Okay. And maybe another connection that goes like this. Or the other way around. Okay, so we'll check this later. See how it turns out. There's another gap over here. So I will find a way to build a road. Perhaps cutting across like this. I suppose this looks a little bit better. But I'm wondering if there's a way to reclaim the property over here. Okay, I see how to do it. I'm going to build another one-way road with sidewalks. That's going to go across like this. And like that. Okay, so so that should fill in the space in this triangle here, and I suppose I'll have to do it on the other side. And we'll leave it like this and compare later to see what happens in terms of development. You'll note that this is where I built my underground bus transit line, which is not being used, but it's definitely there. One of the things I always wanted to develop, but I never did, was a highway just for buses. And I do put my buses on the highway, absolutely. And sometimes they go on the highway system on their own. So we've got this part of the town which doesn't have any highway coverage, so I'm going to add some sort of a highway to give them coverage. And I want to fill in this gap over here. Put a one-lane, one-way road, perhaps like this, so we can have some people living over here. Okay, in terms of a highway, doesn't need to be a high-capacity highway. Wow, there's a lot of traffic over here. I'm going to increase the capacity of this road. Wow. This is where you put in a service road. We've got so many connections over here that a service road makes sense. So the service road is going to be built alongside, and I'm going to make it a two-lane service road, I suppose. You know what? I'm going to go for it and make it a three-lane service road. We go all the way. It looks like it has to be able to clear this, so it's going to have to be probably 16 meters high. And it will be built like this. And it's going to come around like so. Got a long way to go. Might have to build it a little thinner over here. You know what? It's going to be 3 lanes, because we can build it at the surface level over here. No problem. Okay, so that road is all going to connect together. And I'm going to remove this on-ramp. And I'm going to extend this and connect it to here. And it might change, but for now it'll be done like this. And the on-ramp will be restored like so. This is going to go. And you do have to remember everything that you remove, and because they all need to be replaced. Okay, so we had an on-ramp and an off-ramp that need to be replaced. The off-ramp is right here. And the on-ramp will be right here. Although I don't really need this on-ramp, I think I'll skip it. There is one nearby. There's one right here. That'll be fine. Now this will change. This will go away. And it will now connect to here. And this will go away. I'm going to go back to here, 16 meters. Remove this. Build that connection. Build a connection from here to here. Remove this piece. I'm going to rebuild this. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Okay, so I basically built a service road alongside. I could make this road thicker. I could add a lane if I wanted to, which would require moving this road. And I restored all the connections so people can get to where they want to go. We'll see if it improves overall traffic flow. We're going to have an issue at this point right here, so I'm going to preemptively make this wider, like so. You might wonder if you should use the bus lanes for expressways. I found them to be mostly a waste of time, so I don't use them. Okay, so there it is. Now when we get, for example, this off-ramp, if it gets to be really backed up, it's not going to back up the main expressway anymore. And it is possible that this service road that I made will get backed up at some point. Those types of things will happen. But it's not going to be as bad as it was before. The other thing that I can do is add another lane right over here so that the vehicles that are taking this exit have an extra lane to get into. But since it looks like there's no traffic jams right now, I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to go back and look at the other highway that I added. Oh, we got another traffic jam over here. Okay, so this is at the Sydney Opera House. I always have traffic issues with the Sydney Opera House. It's very popular. The question is, how do we fix it? We make a service road Yeah, this definitely needs a service road. It's too complicated, all these curves and stuff. Some of which were made by the game designers, not me, so they were already existing. Service road will definitely lighten up the traffic here. Very complicated intersection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 connections. However, it doesn't look like a permanent problem, so I'm going to save that for another day. Let's see if I can find that other highway connection that I made. I wonder if this is it. Don't even know. This... Okay, yeah, this is it over here. Don't see any traffic issues. As you can see, I added a one-way road and it filled in some of the spaces with buildings. However, we don't know if it's more efficient now than it was before because the road obviously occupies space. And does the space that the road occupies make up for all the buildings that we had to knock down here and here? And we got a couple new buildings, and on the other side I didn't do it, and obviously there aren't new buildings, which is weird because right over here there is a road down below. It's highlighted in green, and there's space for some buildings to be built alongside of it, and they have not appeared. Oh, there's one right here, but there's still a space behind him. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that. I think that was a successful build. The other thing that I could do is try to branch off of that and offer service to someone else somewhere else. Here we have another little space that could be filled in. So I'm going to build a one-way street with a sidewalk that will go from here to here. I built streets that did not have sidewalks and was confused when buildings did not appear until I read somewhere that it was required for them to have a sidewalk. This looks like a road that I inserted, and it looks like some buildings have started to appear. The other thing I could do is build bridges over the highway system, but you'll note that my surface roads have virtually no traffic. And if they have no traffic, then there's no need to improve those roads. Okay, so the next thing is to build a highway that extends into new territory. Over here the highway stops. You can see people are using it. This highway could be extended further into this area. I think it will need to be done. The question is, where will I make the connections? So I'm going to extend the highway, and first I'm going to extend the surface roads, such as this one. And I'm being careful to build the roads without the bridges being built. So I'm watching to see if, right now I see white dashed lines on either side of the road, which means that it's going to build a bridge. And now there's none, so here's where I'm going to place the road. And the highway is going to come into this neighborhood. So I'm going to build the highway extension. It looks like it's going to be a 2-lane highway from here and part of it is going to go through the backs of neighborhoods, so it's going to go through here and to here. Those houses will be rebuilt, I'm sure. And over here somewhere I'll have to make a connection to a surface road, which will be easy. I just have to make a surface road. And then take the highway like this and connect it to the surface road. It's as simple as that. Maybe I should do it differently. I'm considering connecting it to here instead. So I'm going to start here and maybe connect it into here. It'll come through here. No matter what I do, it's going to knock houses down. So they'll just have to deal with it. Okay, so there's that connection. And then I have to build the road that goes alongside it, which I only need 1 lane. And it doesn't have to start from the same spot. I could have it start from anywhere. And I don't want to delete this whole road and that whole road, so I have to make little stubs. Like this will be 1 stub. And another stub will be like this. You want to do it over the road. The first stub I made is not going to be a good one. I have to remove that one. The one on the right was done correctly. You want to do it over this road because it's going to be at the proper height. And the other one will probably not be, but that's okay. It's still going to connect. Everything is going to work out fine. This will... oh no, that's wrong. We'll connect first this road to here. And then this road to here. Obviously, you can see I made a mistake. It should have been made a little bit longer than the road on the left, but you'll see that it still works. And then I need to make the on-ramps and the off-ramps. And I am set. An off-ramp. Where's a good place for an off-ramp? I suppose I will do it right here. And I don't have to make an on-ramp because I don't think anyone's going to use the highway to go to this area. So it's going to stay the way it is. There will be no connection. Actually, you know what? Maybe I could do it. I could do it over here. it's not necessary to make this connection. Very few people will use it. Okay, so the other connection really isn't necessary. So I extended that highway. So just so you understand, people who take this road are going to go far across the map. It's unlikely that they're going to take this road and get off over here. Although they might have a job there. But they can take the surface roads and get there if they want to. They're very close. So putting that little off-ramp there doesn't really make any sense. And likewise, no one's going to come from here and take this on-ramp, okay, except for that maybe that guy, to get to over here. It just doesn't make sense. Perhaps it will in the future. You know, I'm going to do it because maybe when I start making other highway connections, it might be possible that someone will want to go that way, so I'll add that. And you'll note that this is a regular road, it's not an expressway road. The expressway road did not connect. Okay, so I extended that highway. It looks like there's a gap over here, where no one's building over here. So I'm going to add a one-way road that connects from here along the back. It's not going to be centered. And we'll connect to here. And I'm going to try and fill in this gap. This one I'm going to make going through the center. Like that. And if you want to, you could actually go under this and connect to the other side over here. But because you don't want to have intersections like this. Whenever you have an intersection, it means that cars have to stop once again. But since I don't have a lot of traffic on those roads, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to build one over here. Again, a one-way road. I'm sure it'll be fine the way it is. We got a little bit of a gap over here. I think for now I'm going to leave it the way it is. But this one I definitely want to fill in. Perhaps I will go this way. I will cut across here. Put it into here. And maybe, yeah, we'll do it that way. Okay. So that worked out. Got another gap over here. Wow, that's a pretty big gap. And I'm going to have to destroy that building. It won't. Okay, there it is. It won't let me grab that little thing. Come on. Okay, there it is. Gonna lose a building. That's too bad. And that was a pretty big building to lose. But hopefully I'll make up with it with the gained space that I made. And the same over here. I'm going to build the same thing. Looks like we got another space over here. Got another gap. Going to build along this way. Down to here. Up to here. Already got a customer. That's great to see that a large building can be built along these roads. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. I'd love to fill in this space. Not impossible, but more difficult. I'm thinking maybe it will have to go like this. Build this over to there. No, it's not going to work. Now, it is a one-way road, and even though pedestrians can make it to that building, cars need a way out, so you have to build it all the way through. Otherwise, it won't have any traffic. Or cars will arrive. The cars will show up at the building and disappear, but cars won't be able to leave the building. And I will fill in the gap over here. Which, once again, shall be a little tricky. I suppose I could go like this. Gonna have to destroy that building. But I think it's worth it. I'm going to build all the way across. I have the feeling that this one's not going to work out as well as some of the others, but that's okay. I'm still going to build it. So I'm pretty sure that I built this one here, but it looks like we still have a space. So I'm going to build something like this. That will hopefully bring in more business. Fill in more of those gaps. This road should probably be replaced, this little bridge. I could take away those tram tracks, make it into a wider bridge. There's lots of different options. For right now, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Traffic's doing okay. Let's check out over here. Okay, so we've got some traffic jams. Wow, look at that. I'm not getting it to where I want it to be. There it is. Okay. So I could build a service road which will alleviate some of the traffic. Definitely got issues here. You don't want to start from the back. You want to start from the front. Fix a traffic jam that's furthermost in the front. Wow, there's a lot of traffic. So keep on following the traffic until you get to the front of the traffic jam, which looks like it's over here. Everybody's getting off to get to this Buckingham Palace. So that's where the problem is. I'm going to have to find a solution. There's a lot of cars getting off over there. So one way to do it is to widen the road over here, to give them like their own little lane to get onto this exit. That's obviously one solution. Or I could build their lane longer. I could obviously widen this over here. I could build an off-ramp that connects right to this intersection. Or even to this road over here. There's a lot of options. Considering all the traffic that's going that way, I think a service road makes sense. I'm assuming they're all going to Buckingham Palace. Okay, so how do you find out? You pause the game, you pick a car, like this guy, and he's going to a nightclub, he's going to a commercial building, a nightclub, a commercial building, Buckingham Palace, commercial building, Buckingham Palace, commercial, Buckingham Palace, nightclub, opera house, commercial, theater. So we got a lot of cars coming in for a variety of different reasons. Perhaps what I need to do is figure out a better way to get this intersection built. There's no highway into this area. So what I could do is build an extension that goes into here, allows traffic to get into here. That would be pretty cool. This looks like an area that I built. I'm pretty sure that I built this. It was unoccupied before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a way for traffic to get into here, to go a little bit deeper in. But the question is how. I can either branch it off of this area here. That's a lot of traffic. Got a lot of ways to branch it off and drive it right through the center on this center road. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build it right over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I do 2 lane by 2 lane, it's going to be a really tight fit. So I would build it from here up to this area. I'm going to build it up to here just in case. And you'll notice it did not knock any of the buildings down. Placed it very carefully. I'm lining it up over here with what would be considered the outside lane. Because the sidewalk is the width of a lane, so it kind of counts as a lane. It doesn't fit for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't fit. It doesn't look like it's touching anything. Yeah, I guess it is. So I'm going to try again. You got to put it right about there. Make it as close as possible to the highway next to it, because you want to avoid knocking buildings down. And as you can see, well, it looks like it did knock some buildings down. Rebuilding it isn't going to allow me to fix the problem. The buildings will come back because they have access to other sidewalks, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to take this intersection here and connect it to here, which kind of solves the problem. And I'm going to remove this stretch of road. And this other one I'm going to connect to here. Really don't want to do it that way. I would rather connect it to there. Like something like that. I think it'll preserve most of the buildings. And now I need to figure out how to make my connections here. So as I said previously, you want to build over the bridges first, or in this case under the bridges. Because it's going to make one of the connections will be very easy. This will be a very easy connection. You just got to connect from here to here. And this will have to connect up to here, like so. Now the question is, how do you do the other connection? It's going to be a little bit trickier. Perhaps I could build it over here. Nope. I might have to build it underground. Yeah, it's going to be really tricky to build over this lane and under the highway. I've done it before, but it's not going to look clean. So I'm going to build underground. And I'm going to make it a 2-lane. So I will start here. Okay, so that is an underpass. Oh, it actually did not put it under the ground. It did it more at the ground level. And hopefully I'll be able to make a connection from here to here. Crossing my fingers. Okay, so that should bring traffic deeper into the city. We'll see if people start using it and alleviate some of the traffic jam that's going on at this other intersection. And it does take time because this is a new route, and these cars have already decided where they're going and what route they're going to take. So it's going to take a bit of time before cars start to plan to use that route. There goes another one. And also, based on the time of day, the traffic pattern might change dramatically. So I hope that that was useful. I hope that people use it. Got to alleviate this traffic somehow. Maybe what I'm going to need is an off-ramp on the other side here. It looks like there's something, but yeah, it's just not very good over here. Okay, so I'm going to see if I could fix this here. We've got a lot of traffic going around this way, or at least we did. Now it seems like it stopped. So my idea was to put another off-ramp right over here in this area that goes around Buckingham Palace and makes another connection somewhere. But it looks like the traffic problem is gone. It would give them more than one choice to get to where they were going. Okay, so we'll check in with this later to see if it's a temporary fix or not. Over here we've got traffic. Looks rather normal. Looking good here. Looking good. And as I was saying, you want to fix the traffic at the front where the problem starts. Because all I had to do was change one place and it fixed everything that was behind it. Another potential traffic jam right here. Why are so many people getting off over here? There is no on-ramp or off-ramp in this area for a long stretch of road, so I'm going to build one. I suppose it will be right here. Okay, so this is the the connecting road. Already have a customer showing up, which is pretty odd. Going to make an off-ramp. Now keep in mind the existing highway was not built by me, it was built by the game designers. Sometimes I do go and remove their highway and replace it with my own, but in this case I decided not to. Okay, so we've got another connection over here, which should alleviate some of the traffic that's getting off at this other intersection, which I thought was crowded. I guess it's not. It looks pretty good. And I want to fill in all this area over here. It's got a lot of empty space. I'm probably going to use one-way roads. Not a highly trafficked area. It's weird that it won't let me build. Oh, okay. There. I wonder if that's a... Is that a bus stop? No, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, we'll try it this way. Okay, so we have one of the connections. I'm going to make another connection like so. And another one like so. And that should allow this place to be filled up. And maybe I'll add some bridges so people can get over to the other side. You know, it's a simple matter. You just go like this, and you have a bridge. And I'm sure nobody's ever going to use it, but better to have it than not to. Now you know where all the chemicals are stored, right along the water over here. With Cities in Motion 1, they had a map editor, and you could place every road and every building, and I really enjoyed doing it. And they even had like traffic signs and things like that. You could put stop signs, all sorts of crazy stuff. Like the traffic signs would be things like, you know, exit 5, or, you know, all sorts of information that would go over the highway. Okay, so people are starting to use that new intersection that I made. Yeah, this is the intersection that's a little bit busy, and I'm trying to lighten this one up. So what I might have to do is extend a road a little bit deeper into here. Otherwise we will get traffic jams. And also when I continue adding my metro system, it's going to fix a lot of the traffic problems. That's one of the great things about transportation, is people actually will use it. So it looks like we got another long stretch where people are not taking advantage of, I'm sorry, where people don't have access to the surface roads. So I'm going to build another intersection over here. I know it's not a great place, but we'll give it a shot, see if it works. I'm going to connect it to here. It's going to have to be a bridge or a tunnel. And then I will build the on-ramps and the off-ramps, same as I always do. 2 lanes for the off-ramp. This one might be a little bit more difficult. 1 lane for an on-ramp. Okay, so that on-ramp is going to be over there. And the off-ramp will probably be over here. What's important is that it works. I'm going to remove this little stubby piece. You see that there's also some space over here that we could fill in. And then make a one-way road with sidewalks. Go up to here. And I will go across to here. And then back into here. And I'm going to go up at an angle. And I will go along the highway. I want to give as much space for buildings as possible. And I have the feeling it will cut across over here. So we should see some more buildings appear in that area. And it looks like we could do the same on the other side. I'm going to build this to here. And then across. And again, this is something that you will do in lots of city building games, not just Cities in Motion. In the gap between the highway, you can put things such as a monorail system. And I know it sounds funny because where the stop's going to be. Okay, so we've got another gap over here that we can fill in. It's weird, it's not allowing me to build. The reason why is because it's trying to connect to the subway, which obviously I don't want it to do. So I'm going to build it to here, and then I'm going to connect to the road. I seem to recall that these little things don't serve a purpose, like they won't have... Oh, they do have workers and workplaces. But perhaps in the first version, maybe they didn't. In Cities in Motion 1. This looks like a road that I added. It looks like we added, we gained 2 buildings, which isn't a lot. Highway looks good here. Looks good there. Looks good over here. Haven't seen, well, I guess there's growth over here. Not enough. Doesn't look like the bus system made it grow faster. Traffic looks good here. Looking good. So over here, previously we had a large traffic jam. And it is Thursday at noon, which is obviously not a rush hour. But I would suppose it still has a decent amount of traffic. The same thing is still happening. You're still getting a lot of traffic backing up on that little off-ramp. I'm going to add a road segment over here to fill in the gaps. And have it go right behind the houses. Oops, I did it wrong. You can, in some cases, you're going to do it centered in the empty space, and in some cases, you're going to do it either to the left or to the right. You'll have to decide on your own. Obviously, here's another gap. Probably going to build through like this. Build down through here. And then connect it with an intersection. Like that. And hopefully it will fill in. Wish I could fill in this little gap here. The question is, knocking those buildings down, will it be worth it? Okay, so one way to fix this is to take this road out and shift it over. Put a one-way road perhaps like this, and put another one like this, and it should make more efficient use of the space. Well, I think that you'll just have to trust that that was the right decision. Perhaps we'll find this later and remember it, but I think it's going to be forgotten. Okay, we've got traffic issues over here. How do we fix it? You'll note that even though I use 2 lanes for the off-ramp, it's not optimal. You really want 3 lanes. You want 1 lane for people to turn left, 1 for people who are going straight, and 1 for people who are turning right. So how do I fix this? We've got these little short roads, such as this right here, and these roads are problems because the capacity, the number of cars they can carry, are very small. And you don't want that. You want cars to keep on flowing. One thing I could do is I could build an underpass that starts over here and connects to here, and the cars will use it to bypass all that traffic jam. But I'd like to figure out a good way to fix this without making this into a huge huge off-ramp. And I have an idea that I think might work. Which might mean converting some of these into one-way roads. But I have to figure out if it really will, in fact, be the right decision. Okay, well, the other thing I could do is make this road a lot fatter. This needs to be a higher capacity road. So I'm going to go to the regular roads, take the highest capacity road possible, 1, 2, 3, 4, which looks like this road, something like that. And I have the feeling that a lot of the problems will go away. And this is the way it's done. If you live in a city like New York City, they'll do things like that. They'll take a road and they'll just make it crazy big. Or the other thing I could do is take away those sidewalks. The sidewalks over here are really not as necessary. And that will definitely increase the capacity. Yeah, I'm going to do this with no sidewalks and see if I can put in a fat road. Okay, so I was able to add an extra lane by getting rid of those sidewalks. What you'll notice is that the road that I have in right now, that massive road, that's 10 lanes, you can't put it without sidewalks. So if you use no sidewalks, the most you can get is 8 lanes. With the sidewalks, you can get 10. So I'm going to leave that massive road there, and hopefully traffic flow will improve in this part of the city. You can see that this area is starting to rebuild after the huge rezoning. Wonder if it's possible to reclaim this right here. I'm going to give it a shot. Build a one-way road. No, I can't really do it. It would have to go under here and connect to there. Something like that. Okay, so here's obviously an area where we can build some roads. I'm going to use the regular 2-lane roads, and maybe mine will end up being more grid-like than what the original designer has. Lucky you are free to build it any way you want. Okay, so it looks a little mountainous over here. It's going to be a little difficult to get exactly what I want. But any problems can be fixed. They can be rebuilt. And then I'm going to use the 1-lane roads to finish off the edges. Question is, can I fix this area? Let's take a look. I mean, I think the sensible thing to do is just get rid of that road segment. It's complete waste right over here. hope for the best. Maybe I can rebuild it. Let's try with a one-way road that goes like that. Nope, guess not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is remove this. I am going to build this to here. I am not going to build that to there. I want to. Maybe I'll try with no sidewalks. Maybe that'll do it. Nope. Anyway, I'm going to try to build from here to here. Okay, so that worked. It'd be nice if I could connect this little tiny road here. So obviously that's a bridge. And I don't want it to be a bridge. We had a possible connection here that looks like it will finish it off. I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to remove this segment, and I'm going to try and rebuild it. Okay, so that has fewer tunnels. And this is some of the best real estate in the whole game right there. You can see this section over here looks pretty much the same. This is still pretty busy. I could easily widen the road right over here. Okay, I say easily. I could widen the road. It would not be easy, but it could be done. But it would not alleviate the traffic, so I guess it doesn't matter. Wow, there's a lot of traffic over here. So as I said before, you want to go to the front of the traffic jam and fix the problem there. It looks like this was something that I did with the intention of building on-ramps and off-ramps, and I never finished it. So I'm going to put these on-ramps and off-ramps in. Boulevard, looks like a 3-lane boulevard. We'll continue this onward. We'll remove that stub, get back to the expressway, put on the on-ramp. right there. And I will put this on-ramp on. And then I will do the two lane for the off-ramp. It looks like this one isn't going to work. So I'm probably going to have to change this one. Do the off-ramp first. Wow, that's a real stretch. And then do the on-ramp. Now, where is this traffic jam? Buckingham Palace. Okay, one solution, widen the road right there. Another solution, make a long service road. Go to the expressway, find the widest piece. Now, by widening it, what's going to happen is the cars that take the exit are going to get in that right lane, which is going to free up an extra lane for through traffic. But that doesn't mean that we won't have traffic jams anymore. That was pretty severe of a traffic jam. And I'm sure it's going to come back to haunt me. I'm going to remove this little stub over here. Check on the rest of the city, see how things are going. We got another traffic jam. And they're all getting off on this road. We don't know why. But I think I could add some more highway coverage over here. This doesn't have good highway coverage. I'm going to have to build something. But the question is where? So I'm guessing that these cars need access to this area over here that doesn't have coverage. And these roads are rather thin, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lanes. Maybe I could put one lane beside another lane. And the other option is to just put one on one block and one on the other block. So my plan is to put a highway. I don't think it needs that much traffic, so I'm going to use the one-lane roads. I'm going to do it right over here. One, two, three, four, 5 lanes. Wow, this is going to be difficult. So I'm going to do it halfway. Basically, the curb is where I'm going to be dropping it. Didn't knock any buildings down, and this is going to be centered on that, anywhere in that empty space. Okay, so the system's going to work. I'm going to extend this all the way through the city. And I will do the same over here. One of the things about these video games that makes you wonder, you know, this type of method should be used in real cities. Now, obviously, what I'm doing isn't very pretty, but the concepts are still there, and it doesn't have to be done this way. It could be done with underpasses that go beneath the city, and it's being done in it's been done in Boston with the Big Dig. So in Boston, what they did was they basically took the highway and built it under the city. As I've said before, it's better to go under or over before you start making connections. I'm going to remove the on-ramps here. And I'm going to connect this so that it goes underneath like so. This will connect to the upper highway here. And this will connect to this highway. And then we're going to take this and connect it to here. But I'm going to use a pivot point right around here so it has a smoother curve. I'm going to remove all the little stub pieces. Okay, now there's one connection that's missing, which needs to probably go underneath from here and connect to here. It's a weird looking connection. Okay, that's more normal. And then connect from here down to here. Like so. And then remove the little stub piece. Okay, so we've got all the connections that we need to get the traffic through the city. I'm going to go to the other side. And I'm going to complete it on this side. Wow, look at all those cars. As I've said before, we want to cross over before we start doing the on-ramps. It just makes it a lot easier. I'm probably going to do just a simple connection over here. What I could do, obviously, is do a circle and loop over and things like that, but then it's going to destroy that beautiful building, so I'm not going to do it. It's going to be tricky. You know, I might have to remove this off-ramp over here. did I get it to 16 meters? No. Okay, so 16 meters down to 8, and then complete the link, and then connect from here to here. I know it's not a pretty connection. Oh, come on. Let's do it once again. Okay, so that's more normal. And now I got to figure out how I'm going to go over, which is probably going to knock that building down, unless I do it from a different location. Well, I guess I'm going to have to change these on-ramps and off-ramps. I'll remove this on-ramp. And I will have it go like this. Okay, so we got that connection. And I need to make one more connection, but before I do it, I'm going to see if there's a way I can fix the on-ramp that I removed. And the answer might be no. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to replace it over here. It would be nice if they made these modeled after real cities, so that you could actually work on traffic problems for real cities using this type of software. Okay, so obviously we got some empty space over here. I'd like to be able to build in. Okay, so I fixed that. The only other one is to fix this right here. You see there's already cars driving on it. And I'm going to connect this right here to here. And I'm going to move the on-ramps. Well, I might not be able to. So we had an on-ramp and an off-ramp, but it can't be moved because the surface road does not exist, which looks like it was this road. So I'm going to add it to here. And I'm going to add an off-ramp right here. I'm going to remove this stub and put an on-ramp right here. Okay, so there you have it. Got another inner city expressway. Actually, it doesn't have the on-ramps and off-ramps yet. Got to figure out what I'm going to do in terms of on-ramps. I think I'm going to put 2 on-ramps. Well, I don't know. Maybe just 1. I think I'm just going to put one, and I'm going to put it right here on this main road. And of course, as you know, you can always change it later if you don't like it. Okay, so that should alleviate some of the traffic issues that we had at some of the other intersections. Let's see how this is doing over here. I believe that I removed the on-ramps and off-ramps that were over here, so I'm going to add something new. The question is where? Maybe something like that. No, that's not going to work. Easily do one right here. And perhaps right here. And there. And there. Wow, it worked. And complete the road that goes from here to here. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. Okay, let's check out Sydney Opera House. Has a lot of traffic. Oh, definitely, definitely. Okay, so this is a one-way road, and I need people to get onto that road from the highway, so I want them to come from here and connect down below. Absolutely. And if that road, that off-ramp becomes packed, then I will widen it. Okay, Buckingham Palace, how you doing? Pretty good. See how we're doing over here. Looking good. Over here looks good. Over here looks good. Looks good. So as you can see, the traffic jams went away. The city population is probably still growing. The city population is growing, but the traffic jams have gone away. So don't believe that if you have a lot of traffic jams that you have a good city. That's just not true. It is 4 a.m. game time, so it's not rush hour. But I'm sure that I fixed a lot of the traffic jams. I'll have to wait until we get to the rush hour to see if anything changes. And again, this is the highway that the game created. I didn't create most of these highways, and I would not have done it this way. This is one of my favorite areas of the whole map right here, this monolithic intersection. Just going to take a quick look, see if there's any gap areas that could be filled in. Here's one. And this was, you know, poor map design, I think. I don't think they want, you know, the designers should have expected that people would want the space to be used to its capacity. And I understand you do need some space to put in your depots and stuff like that, but there's plenty of space for that. You got space all over the map to put depots in. Okay, so it looks like this little extension that I made filled in with buildings. So I'm going to build another one. And I realize it's not perfect, but I'm not concerned with perfection. Oh, I knocked down that building. Well, that's okay. Obviously, I could have designed it better so it would not have knocked down the building. And I think I could do something over here. We might have to sacrifice one of the existing buildings, but I'm going to do it. I build that, and then come around. And all this shoreline over here needs to be done. Wow, over here too. Here's another spot. I'm going to build along the expressway. And remember, don't worry about the expressway. If you need to later, you can destroy everything and rebuild it. Oh, there's a trick that you can use in almost any city building game to get large sums of money. And the trick is very simple. You design your city so that it's profitable. The key is your city has to be profitable. Once your city becomes profitable, you set it to run overnight while you sleep. And then when you wake up in the morning, you have tons of money. It doesn't always work because things can happen in your city that could cause you to start losing money. And then you wake up and you have a loss. But usually it works. So give it a shot if you need money. Or the other thing you could do is start the game, make a very simple city that's guaranteed to be profitable, let it run overnight, and then when you wake up the next morning, cash in on that. There's a lot of big buildings right here. Don't know why. Even though they're big buildings, they don't have large numbers of people working there, but they probably have a lot of the higher class people working there. White collar. Okay, that's it for this game. I'm going to continue working on it and filling in the spaces that need to be filled. I'm going to continue finding traffic jams. But they'll be in future videos. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Thank you.